Good evening and welcome to the Wheelybins Mayhem Republic Wheelybins TV for tonight's Retro Sprint Series hosted by the Wheelybins Mayhem Republic race number 1 here at Circuit Giles, Villeneuve. It's going to be an exciting night, huge racing, all competition levels, all driving the same car, the old Ford Falcon V8 supercar. It's going to be huge. In the booth with me tonight, Tyson. How are you this evening, mate?
Great, mate. Yourself?
Good to have you along for the ride tonight.
Oh, it's good to be here, mate. Looking forward to a great race.
It's going to be...
Unfortunately, we're in the Ford, but it should be a good race.
Well, this is, I suppose, we've stepped back a little bit into time because that's all iRacing used to have before they gave us the new Falcon and the Commodore. This is all the boys used to drive, so stepping back in time a little.
Yeah, should bring some good hard racing, I hope, and hopefully a good battle for that top 5 positions on the grid.
Yeah, for sure. I reckon it's going to be a great race, and there's some great times being put down already tonight. It's unbelievable. Actually, some of the top times up the front, we'll have a look at them in a sec. Getting up the top 10 there right now. Up the top there, Harley has just absolutely stepped up the game here with a 135.5.
He's definitely coming out of the blocks firing.
Yeah, Zach there with a 135.8, only 0.2 behind him, and and Jamie McKnight there in third, 136.2, so that's 0.6 behind the top two. Pete Sadlier there with a 136.6, that's a second behind for fourth, so that's a big spread across the top 4 cars. And then you look at the rest of the times, all in the 136s, down to a 137 for Shane Evans there in number 10 spot, so good spread, but I think when you're out there on the track on your own in this car, you can probably set down a quicker time than when you are all bunched up in a track race situation.
Yeah, it's definitely going to bring some good hard racing, I think. It is pretty hard to drive this beast, especially around Canada.
We're taking a look at Harley on screen at the moment, cutting a few more laps, getting some more practice in, not like he needs it with a time like that. Running the Norton skin this evening on that V8 supercar. Great looking car, looks a little bit like an angry Hornet. I think that's what they used to call them when they ran that scheme back in the Nissan days. I think it was an angry Hornet. Zach Best also out in track running the GoPro livery on his car tonight. Surprised he's not running his real world V8 supercar livery on that car tonight.
Well, that would look nice too. It's around about the same make and model too.
It is pretty close to the same make and model, that's right. So he's one to watch because this man gets behind the wheel of the real thing and drives it out. I think it's in the Kumo series for the development of the V8 supercars. So getting a little bit sideways
pretty much the
there.
third tier V8 supercars.
Yeah, so watch out for him in the future. He'll be a good up-and-comer. Pete Sadlier down in number 4 tonight, running the Rockstar livery. Great looking car, that one. Once again, another yellow car out there. It's going to be hard to tell all these yellow cars apart.
It looks like a Bumblebee.
Rockstar recovery there for Pete. Rodney Phillips there sitting in pits. He's put down a great lap there in number 5 with a 136.9. Jacob Knight in 6th position, 136.9, just 1.4 seconds behind the leader, running a Jim Beam car tonight. I'll have to argue with him there because Jack Daniels is better. Eugene Blurton must be his teammate also running the Jim Beam car tonight. I know Eugene's a bit of a whiskey fan. It's stepping into a bit of bourbon tonight. Alex Warburton in the SP Tools car sitting in pit lane. Jackson also running the Jim Beam car. That's 3 for tonight. They must have gone through trade and paints and all picked the popular drink. Shane the Chief Evans running his custom Shane Evans Power retro car tonight. Oh, it looks awesome too.
Ooh, especially that beautiful sticker up on the top. Oh.
The Wheelybins label. Alan Caldwell in a custom paint also with the Wheelybins logo on the door. Great to see him out here. A little bit New Zealand inspired graphics sort of on the side of that, a little bit tribal.
Yeah, I like that car.
Pete Davison teaming up with the opposite with the Chief tonight with the yellow Pete Davo power car. Both cars are retro throwbacks from some of the older paint schemes done on these cars probably in the 80s and 90s and touring car days. I think these two liveries actually might have started on the Ford Sierra back around the mountain.
A bit of Davo power. A nice looking Bumblebee car too. There is a lot of yellow cars there tonight.
Christopher Kessie there in 13, running the big Ford no, it just changed. Trading Paints has just updated and decided to be a PRA car, Race Stars.
I like the colour combinations on that car. Ooh, in the fence.
Straight into the fence out of the pits. Unfortunate. Kyle Stokes, the better electrical car made famous by Craig Lowndes, 888 Racing.
That is a beautiful car.
I'm pretty sure that livery actually won Mount Panorama one year, so might be good luck for him in this series.
I think that was 2006.
You could be right. Good to see Ian Holdout here running the Norton car as well, teaming it up.
On a little bit of a flick spin there.
That car back on the straight now. These are tricky to drive for some of these guys, and I know yourself sometimes have trouble. They're a little bit looser than the newer model of supercar and different to set up. I guess that's based on the suspension development that happened with the two different models of vehicles, but yeah, good fun, especially when you're all out on the track in the same sort of car, and there's not a lot you can really do to the setups to make them a lot quicker. You're either looking for turn in or you're looking for less oversteer.
Yeah, and the big difference with these cars, especially if you're so used to driving the new model V8 supercar, you jump in this thing and you've got to bring your braking marker back a good 40 metres to get into the corner. It's a difficult thing to drive.
Jackson Harlow, the different style of Norton car. We're going to get confused here tonight, Tyson. It's going to be difficult to tell all these cars apart.
Oh, imagine if they'll line us down.
Looking at some of the other guys out on track. Vincent Skilbeck running the Ford Credit, famous for Mr. Glenn Seaton, I think, back in the day. Ford Credit Falcon. And it was the Tickford team, of course. They've went to PRA and then they're back to Tickford again this year. So maybe we'll see the Ford Credit livery make a comeback at Bathurst this year in the real world.
Well, that'd be nice.
Jason Lee running his traditional blue car. Runs the blue Mercedes in the GT3 series. Actually runs a black car in the normal V8s. Tonight running the Logitech blue Falcon.
Yep, car number 34, Logitech.
Great driver too, Jason Lee. Actually just won our Best and Fairest award for the first round of the GT3 series. First round that wrapped up last week. So congratulations to Jason. Good accolade there.
He surprised us all, I think. Come out of nowhere and he's up the front with the big guns, and yeah, he's having a good drive.
He's certainly Mr. Consistency up the top. He's always in the top 5 there, and it makes for good points in the championship hall for him too. Of course, looking at the points, he just got pinned at the finish line by the Chief, who finished on top of the points round for round 1. He ended up dropping back to 2, Jason Lee, but still in the hunt for the overall championship once round 2 rolls around on the 16th of June, the GT3 series.
I'm looking forward to that.
Mikhail also being a Norton Hornet tonight, but we can tell him apart with that scary helmet behind the windscreen. Didn't have a fantastic, didn't have a good run last week at Road America in the GT3 car. That car was sent straight to the scrap heap. His Ferrari, I think he only purchased it at the start of the series and he's destroyed it at the end of round 1. So he'll be buying a new one for round 2. Big drifts there from Mikhail. No, not at all. Bailey Hall out on track also tonight, just clean black and fast tonight.
A lot of the drivers seem to be struggling these first 1, 2, 3 corners here, and I guess there'd be low level of grip there, especially in these beasts. See in the background there, the car's getting right out sideways.
Brendan McCarthy, SP Tools and Lucky 7. Great huge field of people here tonight. It's really good to see. We were a little worried on what numbers we were going to get for this series running this car, but it's great to see the support. All the drivers have turned up and in good force, and it's going to be a great night of racing. You see Mitchell Chapman out on track also. done very well in the GT3 series. I think he pulled a 3rd place last week in the race, and was quite excited with that, so we'll see what he can pull out of the bag tonight driving this old relic around the track.
Oh, it's such a great track to start at as well.
It is. It's quite dangerous though. Some of those walls, especially like that turn, the final turn, the Wall of Champions, can sneak up on you, and some of the chicanes also can be quite difficult to get around in these cars. But it is. It's an awesome track.
Take a little bit too much, you're going to be visiting it.
The one good thing about these cars, is they're a little bit more forgiving when you take a little bit of curb. Unlike the GT3 cars where we've seen if you take too much curb it really unsettles the car, whereas these cars seem to really love cutting that corner, hitting the apex, and getting right up on 2 wheels. Big spin there.
So we got a change at the top end there. Peter jumps up into 3rd, and followed by Jacob.
Yeah, and Jamie's been bumped back down to 5th. Great times.
But Peter's not far off 2nd.
Having a look at some of our series prizes for this series. We've got to thank our great sponsors. Managed to put these up. We've got some stubby coolers sponsored by Limelight Motorsport. Also another 3 stubby coolers sponsored by Ryno Hire, who are one of our major sponsors of this series. Series points prizes, it's $150 up for grabs for the winner after 6 races. 2nd place is $80, 3rd place $40, so 6 races in this series. And we've also got 6 of the West End Mazda Pole Sitters Awards tonight, so if the pole sitter in qualifying completes the race at the end of the night, they will get themselves a $10 iRacing credit. And big thanks to West End Mazda for coming through with that. Also bonus prizes throughout the whole series. We've got plenty of bonus prizes for the drivers. Best and fairest, lowest incident counts. We'll find up some other reasons to give some gifts away as well. So big thanks to our sponsors for stepping on board for that. West End Mazda, Ryno Hire, Park Lane Jewellry, also a big supporter. Kicked in a fair bit of cash for our prizes tonight. And of course Wheelybins Mayhem Republic also contributing a little bit of coin there to get this series off the ground and get some drivers on the track and possibly some serious money in your pocket.
Yeah, it's going to bring some good racing, that's for sure.
Well, we can only hope, that's for sure. Oh, there's a knock at the door. I think the Chief's arrived.
Evening, fellas.
The Chief has stepped out of the race car and into the booth. How are you tonight, Chief?
Yeah, not too bad. Just thought I'd come in for a quick hello before the race gets started. It's looking like a good field and yeah, pretty tight there at the top.
Yeah, some great times being set down there as we're just looking at the top 10. Pete Sadlier pushed his way up into 3rd with a 1:35.8, so all the way down at number 10 there for yourself tonight, Shane.
Yeah, I'm actually really struggling with this car. The lack of grip compared to my my Gen 2 Falcon is very, very difficult to get used to.
Yeah, I can't imagine how hard it would be driving out there around here, especially this circuit with it. You know, the fast corners and the slow speed, the high speed, the changes. Oh, it'd bring a lot on your setup.
Yeah, mate, I to be honest with you, I haven't had enough time to work on setup in recent weeks, and I'm using one that was posted up for the series. And yeah, I think I'll probably do all right in the race. I'll do my usual steady self and see what happens, see where I end up at the finish. I'm not gonna try and go for the dive bomb moves. That's not me, you know that.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing you come through the field.
Yeah, I think where we finish at the end of this 15 laps, the first run will be a big determining factor. I think a bit of pit stop strategy in the next race. A few people might struggle with how much fuel to put in the car and whether or not they need to change tyres or not. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'll definitely be going hard in this first one, trying to get a good starting position for part 2.
Yeah, that'll be the key, because the finishing results of the 15-lap race here will be the starting grid for race number 2. Well, second part of race 1, I suppose. It's all one race with a bit of a break in the middle. But it gives the drivers a bit of a break. At the second 20 laps, it's going to throw some strategy, because I think we were talking earlier, we've got 20 laps, but only enough fuel for about 16, 17 laps. So you're right. Whether do you pit early and run some fuel through to the end, or do you wait and do a splash and dash?
Yeah, well, exactly that. It's a bit of strategy, and I don't even know myself yet. I'll see how we go in this first one and see what the tyres are like at the end, and we'll hopefully have a bit of an idea of what we've got to do for the 20-lapper. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It's likely to be a bit of a weather change later in the day, so things might quicken up a bit in the afternoon, depending on what happens with the clouds.
Yeah, there was forecast of possibly some cloud cover later on, so it could cool the track down and increase the times. They're pretty fast out there at the moment, though, but make for some good racing.
Yeah, well, that's actually a PB for me around here in this particular car, so I'm not too unhappy with that. I might jump out and give it one quick blast for the last 10 minutes, chuck on a set of greens and hope for the best, and we'll see if we can get up a bit further.
Yeah, well, you want to try and get yourself up the pointy end and avoid any trouble off the start, so it'll be a good idea to probably step up 1 or 2 spots, but good luck in the race anyway. Thanks for joining us. Yeah,
mate, well, it looks like most of the trouble is up at the pointy end, so we'll see what happens.
You could be quite right there. We'll see what happens. It could be an exciting start.
Yeah, I think that the young fellas have been known to smash door handles and rub mirrors, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it should bring a good race.
Thanks for your time, boys. Enjoy your call. Have a good one.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Good luck out there, Chief.
Yeah, well, the times haven't changed a lot. Harley and Zach still sitting up there at the top. Pete Sadley are there in 3rd, Jacob Knight in 4th, Jamie McKnight in 5th, Rodney Phillips in 6th, Eugene in 7th, as we just see him exit the track, actually stage right. Eugene Warburton in 8th, Jackson in 9th, sorry, get that the right way around, and Shane there in 10th. A few of the other drivers out there on track at the moment is Alan Caldwell sitting in position 11th. Hopefully he has a good result here tonight. I think he's been hanging out for this series a little bit, so maybe he's got some practice in and might step it up and show us what he's got tonight.
He's always got some good race pace as well. That's where he comes really alive.
Only got 11 minutes here remaining in this qualifying session, and then we will step into the 15-minute race. Jackson Harlow in 12th at the moment. One of the Norton team cars. Pete Davison. I was hoping probably a little bit better result from him tonight, sitting in 14th, but then again, looking at the times at the top, it's going to be hard to beat. So, you know, a 137 around here is not slow, that's for sure.
Shane just dropped down to 11th, and Jackson's actually got the same time as him.
Wow, look at that, yeah. Unbelievably close. And we're looking at from position 8, there's a 137 with Eugene, to position 18th is a 137.9 with Rob Carmichael. So that's a lot of cars there, all within a second on the grid. It's going to be a very tight mid-pack, this race.
Yeah, very tight in that mid-pack there. Very close times throughout the whole top 10 to the 20.
Rob Carmichael also running one of those fantastic paints on the helmets. He's looks more like an emoji helmet he's got stuck on his head. Or he stuck his head up the bum of an emoji, one of the two. Vincent Skilbeck in 19th. We're going to jump on board with him towards the end of this first part of the race, and he's going to take us for a hot lap around here later on, so look forward to that coming up in the broadcast. Most of our drivers that are in the session have now set a time. I think even back to our 31st driver is a 1:39.8, so they're all under the 140s in this race, which is going to make for a tight time, because I think I can only ever manage a 1:39 around here anyway, so these guys...
I don't think I've tried driving around here in this car yet.
I think tyres is going to be the factor around here. Doing 15 laps on a set of tyres is going to be tough. It's going to really put you to the test and get that traction, because I'm pretty sure the tyres on these probably start to wear off probably around about 10, lap 11 sort of thing. So that last 4 laps is going to be tough. And then having the 20 lap race coming up afterwards is going to be even tougher, whether you make the call to take tyres and spend that extra time in the pits, or just take that little bit of extra fuel that you need to make it to the end and run with the tyres and save the time.
Yeah, it's going to be a good race in the second one. Like, the strategy is going to be key. Do you box early and hope for some clean air and push on, or go all out at the start and then, yeah, splash and dash it? I must say though, the car number 10's like, his paint job is just, oh, it's outstanding.
Number 10, we'll have to have a look at that. That is a fancy looking car. It looks like a retro Red Bull there.
Mm-hmm.
It is an outstanding looking car. Got that new feeling with that retro look.
Yeah, it reminds me like the retro round around, what's that track? V8 Supercars run, then they go retro, and it kind of reminds me of that. Just got to think of the name of the track.
Yeah, you'll guess.
Sandown, that's it. Sandown.
Sandown, the retro round.
Hmm.
Jim Dilios out on track 2. Now, this is a man who would know how to handle one of these. He's been around iRacing long enough to remember when all we had was these cars when it come to V8 supercars. So he's put down a 1:39.5, sitting in position 31 tonight, so I possibly see a bit more out of Jim. I'm sure he knows how to handle these cars a bit better than some of the other young boys around here. Hopefully he can just keep it on the straight and narrow tonight and keep it out of the wall.
Hmm. Looks like he's got a couple of scratches on the sides as he pulls off.
David's also managed to make it into the server just in time to put down some qualifying, running the retro Castrol livery. A few cars running that here tonight. Big slide through the corner there for David. Tough car to get a handle on. Jamie McKnight sitting in 5th tonight, struggling a little bit with the handling of this car possibly. It's unusual to see him so far back in the top 10. I'd expect to see him in the top 3 where he was earlier, but he's been pipped off by a couple of tenths of seconds there. He's still only 0.6 of a second away from our leader, but it's a big gap when it comes to race pace around here, and after a couple of laps you can develop a bit of space. So I think Jamie will be looking for a bit more speed out of that Falcon tonight. And we might see a little bit more as he comes around to take on another hot lap. At the moment we might see him improve that time and move up the grid.
Hits that curb well, gets off the other curb, runs out wide, uses all the road available. That's a clean lap, so hopefully he makes no mistakes and can improve on his lap time. Pit lane activity is getting hot. A few cars coming out on track. When I say a few, I mean like about 10.
Getting out for that last 4 minutes of track time. Someone we hadn't talked about yet, Gary Hamilton. Another driver who's normally a regular in the snap-on car tonight. Absolute huge field of cars. That's 33 cars we've got now. Unbelievable.
That's a great turnout.
Going to be a big grid.
You know what happens with a big grid too? Lots of carnage.
So turn 1 becomes a disaster zone, so hopefully these guys can keep it clean for the first lap and get a good race on.
Yeah, let's get ready for some mayhem.
That's what we're all about, the Wheelybins Mayhem Republic. If you want to check us out, you can find us on our website at wheelybinsmayhemrepublic.com. You'll find information about all our upcoming series, some videos, links to our broadcasts, information about what we do, and lots of things like that. And also, you're watching on the YouTube at the moment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the upcoming broadcasts.
Looks like Mikhail's back out on track trying to improve his lap time at the moment, sitting in 26th position. That good old scary helmet on.
And of course, Mikhail, one of our overseas competitors, always turns up here at a wheelie bin session during his lunch break. So good to have him here again. Hope your day's going well. I suppose if you could race it in your lunch break every day, it's not a mad job really. Time to go for a race at lunch, I wouldn't mind that myself.
It's how the guys at work. I'll be back in an hour, guys. Just got to go for a quick race and off you go.
Looking at the time charts, there's been some shake-ups because Shane Evans been put down to position 14 in the top 10. Eugene's now just sitting on the top 10 number right now. Kyle Stokes is up into 9th. Gary Hamilton come in and stirred the pigeons up with a 7th. Alan Caldwell in 6th.
Ooh, he's found some pace.
Didn't think there was enough room for some faster times in here in the top 10, but they've obviously shown us that there is.
So they'll grab those fresh tyres and chuck them on for the last 5 minutes to give us a good show.
Yeah, a little bit like today's race at Barbagallo, it was all about the pit stop strategy and who had the better tyres towards the end of the race, and wow, does it make a big difference having some fresh rubber under these cars.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that replay afterwards. Missed it today because I had to referee, but I get to do this and then straight off to watch that. I'm looking forward to it.
Bit of controversy also in the Formula 1 too, Tyson. I know you're heavily into that with Ricciardo.
Oh yeah, poor Dan last week, unlucky.
Yeah,
goes to the fake on the right and then goes down the inside and gets covered off by Max, and I was so upset.
It wasn't a good situation, that's for sure, for teammates. Oh, Gary Hamilton has just popped up into 4th position.
Ooh.
That's a very quick time, almost a 1:36 flat.
He's hooning along.
Really moving along.
Maximum commitment, look at him go. Maybe a couple of setup tweaks and he's found his groove now, and sound a great lap like that.
You sound like Scafey when I come out of that car. He was right out sideways, so he's really got that car set up loose tonight. Super wide in on the turn in there, almost right out on that grass. Using every inch of the track, get that turn in, hit that apex just right. Coming up behind the Chief there, a little bit of a pinch of the rears, it's really loose. Loose out of the corner again.
This toe should help him down the straightaway here. That's going to be shocking in the braking zone when you're buying a car. In this car, it's like, you got to bring that 30-40 metres backwards with the draft and carry the corner speed. It's difficult.
Yeah, and the draft does affect the brakes on these cars. If you're sitting behind someone, you lose that downforce on the front wheels, and it just doesn't want to stop.
Oop, the checker flag is flown.
qualifying is about to wrap up.
Doesn't look like he improved his time.
No, but respectable nevertheless with a 136 flat. Alan Caldwell also dropped up there into position 7th. So having a look at the provisional so far, unless there's some surprises still out on track to come. Looking at the top 10, only a minute remaining here in this session, so the cars that are on the track are on their final blast for a time around this track. The retro
Macau crosses, doesn't improve.
top 10 so far and pretty dominant in this series, Harley Haber. So
Yeah, he did that lap pretty early as well.
yeah, he didn't field and wasn't able to find any more time out of that car, so he knocked that off really early. Zach Best also with a good time, didn't really improve on that much past after setting it. Pete Sadler there in 3rd, great time for him, a 1:35.8. Gary Hamilton there in 4th, Jacob Knight in 5th, Jamie McKnight in 6th, Alan Caldwell 7th, Rodney Phillips in 8th, Kyle Stokes sitting in number 9, and Eugene just making it to round out the number 10 position. So it's going to be a tight top 10 here tonight, Tyson.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to this. Like the gaps from qualifying, it's literally nothing. But in motorsport, it means so much. So it's going to bring some good racing, I think. And yeah, I can't wait to see that green flag drop and get underway.
Yeah, we'll make it interesting. It's going to be a good race. We thank you for tuning in here if you're here on the YouTube channel for the Retro Sprint Series. It's going to be a big series, and we've got 6 races in this series. Takes up all chunk of May and a little bit of, what are we in May? March. And I'm trying to think of the months here. So it's 6 races, so it's we're already 5 days into May. Unbelievable. Don't forget it's Mother's Day next Sunday. I'm pre-warning you right now.
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Don't worry, I thought it was tomorrow. So I was really organised. But anyway, don't forget your mother's next Sunday, because I won't be here to remind you next Saturday night too for the broadcasts. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make the broadcast for next week, but we'll get a highlights reel for the series anyway put together. Cars are just gridding up and down at the track right now. Going to be a huge race and a huge grid. Big angry pack there of Fords. Unfortunately, they didn't have the previous model Holden when they were running this car back in the day.
Would have been good to see it run around with this car.
Yeah, it would have been good to see the difference between the two. But nevertheless, this is what we've got, all sitting on the grid, ready to roll very shortly. 15-lap race here tonight at Circuit Giles Villeneuve. No pit stops, it's a sprint race. No planned or random supercars in this race. It's safety cars in this race. It's basically a race from start to finish, flat out. Of course, the position on you finish in this race will determine your grid positioning for part 2 of the race, which is a 20-lap race. The 2 parts here tonight.
As we're about to get underway here. Going to see the first corner here. Who's going to get who? Zach off the line or Harley?
It's going to be a challenge. The revs start to rise. Green flags dropped. Away they go. Big cloud of smoke. Whoa, someone stopped. We've got mayhem already. Straight away, it looks like
half the back.
Big stack there at the back. See if we can just get a replay of that start.
Ooh, Zach's in the wall.
Have a look at the replay at the start at the moment. Yeah, Couple of cars caught up in that. Oh, probably at least a dozen cars with some heavy damage. You see Kyle Stokes has had to go back to the pits because of it. Harley's cleaned away with a 3-second lead so far. We'll go back and see if we can find a replay of Zach taking that mistake there from Zach. You see Gary come up underneath him there, side by side down the straight. Gary's down on the inside. Oh, Gary got out onto the grass and come back into Zach and pushed him into the wall. Then Rodney Phillips, I think it was, into him again and spun him right around. There'll be a bit of chat on race radio about that, no doubt. Harley's got a fair bit of smoke coming from that car. He's going to have to limp it back to the pits and get a fast repair done. Back out in front though, Harley's taken control of this race. 5-second lead now back to Jamie McKnight in second position. Eugene's been the biggest winner out of this. Moved from 10th position on the grid up to 3rd.
What a start.
Jackson Harlow in 4th. Alex Warburton in 5th.
Hopefully they all set into a nice rhythm and get some pace going.
It's been all action so far. Vincent Skilbeck.
Mid-pack battling.
Vincent Skilbeck's also been a big winner out of that. He was back around about 17th position up into 11th at the moment. Having a look back through the grid, Shane Evans has been a loser out of that accident as well. He's back to 23rd position. I think he's been in for a pit stop to have that car repaired. Big hit for his race. Mikhail also taking a pit stop to have his car repaired. So some of those black markers down the back of the grid, a fair bit of heavy damage. Well, that was more of a mid-pack sort of an accident.
We see who stalled on the grid?
Yeah, I'm just going to have to... trying to remember whose the car was. Could have been that one right there. Alan Caldwell was the one who stalled on the grid, I think. We've got a heavy damage to that car. Brendan McCarthy just out there on Grace, out there on the grass. Jim Dilios has moved up into 19th. The gaps has settled out now. Harley's still got a 5.5 second over Jamie McKnight, so they've kept that gap pretty similar. Jamie's on the attack, just reeling in 1/100th of a second that time round. Eugene in number 3, he's got Jackson on his tail. Eugene will be a hard fight here for him to pass.
Oh yeah.
Eugene's another one who's been around the iRacing world for a long time, raced these cars when they first came out on iRacing, and I think that was the convincing thing to go to iRacing, that they got the V8 supercars and there was a group of them, and Eugene was in there to start up. Look at his iRacing number, he's been here for a long time.
Yeah, and got Alex behind them as well, coming up. Jackson looks down the inside. Get it done.
Big move. Eugene gives him some space. Will there be a switchback? I don't think Eugene can quite get the power down to get back up the inside.
Yeah, coming out of that corner, you've got to be so easy on the throttle, or you get the wheel spin and you might be in the wall. A great move by Jackson.
And Alex has stepped up a couple of spots since the start into 5th. Wade Michael also move up into 6th position as well. Pete Davison 7th. That was a big win for Pete Davison through there. Rob Carmichael and Jackson, both the Jim Beam cars, in 7th and 8th.
And he's got Rodney on hot in his heels. Got a little bit of damage on that car, but still hanging on to her.
Yeah, he suffered that when he made contact there with Zach. Back to Jason Lee in 11th. Still a reasonably clean car there for Jason. fortunately. No heavy damage, a little bit of damage to the rear bumper, so he's got out of that unscathed. Mitchell Chapman.
Yeah, a few bumps and bruises on the side of his car, but he's looking pretty straight. There's a quarter of a door. Oh, look at the battle in the background.
The race there with Alan and Cookie. Cookie's got some...
Vince must have ran wide and got a poor run because those guys just blitzed past him.
Alan's going to make the move. Oh, a bit of a touch there with Cookie into the door. Oh, they were lucky to get away with that. Alan's had to run wide on that corner. Probably give Vincent the opportunity to catch back up again. That was rubbing door handles.
Oh yeah. And they both come out the other end pretty clean. Is he going to pit or is he going to stay out? Oh, he's staying out, so the car must be straight.
Not enough damage there to warrant a pit stop just yet. Gary Hamilton, who was a big shaker in qualifying, has dropped back to the 18th position after all that kerfuddle off the start. Jim Dilios in number 20. Jacob Knight back to 21, sitting on the bumper. The Chief sitting there on his bumper. Chief's been in for the pit stop. He's the first in the grid that have been in for an early pit stop this race. Not that they were required to have one, but he had to get some damage fixed to that car, so he's got a fresh car out there to go. You just see Jim, I think it was, has put it into the wall. Come around that corner a bit loose and turned it around into the wall, I think. Yeah, too much gas out of that corner. Heavy damage. Craig back into 24th. Zach Best back out on track. Down to 25th after that incident in the turn, and probably had an engine replacement while he was in the pits. David in 26th and Ian Holt in 27th. Probably one of the biggest to suffer out of that incident. In the pits for a long time getting that car repaired. But up the front, wearing the same skin as Holtzy, Harley Haber, there in the number 1 spot. 8 seconds clear of Jamie McKnight now.
Yeah, he's opened that gap up nicely. Just got to settle into that rhythm, keep hitting the curbs, and yeah, just bring her home straight and ready for the next race later on this afternoon.
Jackson's also managed to pull a bit of a gap there on Eugene. Almost 3 seconds now back to Eugene in 4th.
He's having a great race.
Alex also looking very strong in 5th at the moment. Had a good gain, bit of damage to the front of that car.
Yeah, Alex started 12th in the grid, so up to P5. That's a pretty good outcome there. Dodge the carnage at the start and you just got to bring her home now.
Yeah, P5 start in the next race would be a big advantage for him. Quite a big shake-up of the field. Pete Davison's dropped back to 10th position. He was up there in 7th there for a bit. The Rodney Phillips has made it past.
Yeah, Rodney's got some good pace. Even he's got a little bit of damage on the front. It's definitely going to be affecting his aero.
And looking at most of the cars, there's not many that haven't gotten away without a mark so far. But they're all possibly in the same boat. Jason Lee back there in 12th position. Still a reasonably clean car. He's got Mitchell Chapman on his nose. He's got Christopher Kesey on his tail in the PRA car. Down the inside. Little bit of a lock. Jason runs wide. Lap leader is on lap number 7. 15 laps here in this first part of the race.
He's coming up to some lap traffic now. Holdy and David. Guess past 1. He's having a great drive though. He's made a gap and he's keeping it consistent.
Yeah, for sure. Up the inside there, and yeah, catching Holtzy. The pigeon pair in the Norton cars tonight. Make for some great team photos, even though there was no requirements to be a team here tonight. These guys obviously didn't get that memo. Looking very great there in the two Norton cars. Jamie McKnight still holding on that 8-second gap, doing well, not letting Harley get away. Although he's now got that traffic to contend with too now. Jackson into 3.
Yeah, and Jackson started 15th on the grid, so he must have got lucky with that first corner carnage. He's definitely got some pace though.
He certainly made some moves. I mean, his best lap so far in the race, a 1:37.6. You look at Jamie McKnight's a 1:36.9, and best lap for Harley was a 1:36.3. You see Eugene's had a big spin.
He's dropped back a few spots.
He just pinched the rears coming into that chicane and just couldn't quite hold on to it to get that left-hand turn done. Flicked it around, bit of damage as he clipped the wall. His two other teammate Jim Beam cars come flying past. So bent wing there for Eugene. Gonna hurt the aero on that car a little bit with a bent wing like that.
Now he's got Pete Davison coming for him in that Dave Power entry.
La Pete La Devo of power. It's French for Pete Davison power.
That's a great looking car.
Clean and simple. Moving back to the Chief, Shane Evans moved up to 17th now. Made the pass on Brendan McCarthy. Now got Vincent in his sights. He won't be too happy about this. Oh, as we see him just clip the wall there and take the mirror off on that car. Damage to that front fender. He won't be too happy with the start of that race, and probably got a bit of fire in the belly to make some gains back. That clipping that wall's not going to do any good for that car. Rob Carmichael and Rodney Phillips fighting it out here. Rodney's had some great pace this race, and now he's on the back of Rob Carmichael. Going to be looking for the pass.
Yeah, he's really putting some pressure on.
Yeah, he's almost half a second faster last time around. And looking at best times, it's almost a second difference. Right up on the bumper. Looking to go around the outside there. I don't know if that move was really ever going to work, but he may have had to step out just to avoid the rear bumper of Rob then. Lost a bit of pace down into this turn.
Yeah, Rob's hanging in there. Great consistency. Sitting in P5, it's great battle for P5. It's like Pete Davidson's getting right in the back of Eugene.
Mixing it up a little bit. Pete's got to be careful though. He's got Wade Michael looking to make a pass there as well. Wade, a little pinch of the rears. Tough gig for these cars. We're on lap number 10 now, so the tyres will be starting to feel it. Talked about lap 10, 11. The tyres on these cars will be starting to go off just a little bit. Especially if you've been losing traction coming out of the corners, or you've had to have a spin or something like that. It can take the edge off them real quick.
Yeah, watching Harley up front, he's got a 10-second gap, and he looks like he's just starting to struggle on those rears.
Yeah, he's pushed pretty hard. He's best lap was a 136.3 and his last time round was a 136.9, so he hasn't really dialed off the pace at all. Looking at Jamie McKnight, his last time round was a 137.4, the best at a 136.9, so 10-second gap there from first to second. Another 10 seconds back to Jackson Harlow in third. Top 10 there, Alex Warburton in fourth, Rob Carmichael fifth, Rodney Phillips in sixth, Eugene there in seventh, Pete Davison in eighth, Wade Michael in ninth, and Pete Sadley are there in 10th.
Yeah, that relieves a bit of pressure from Pete now, so we can attack Eugene. As soon as these tyres start falling off though, I think the passing will become even more harder.
Yeah, this is probably where you might, I don't know if any of those guys that had to make a pit for repair forgot to turn their tyres off. It looks like maybe, judging by the pit stops times, there's 2 that probably just got the repairs done and a couple of others may have actually got tyres. Alan Caldwell could be one, he's back in 23rd at the moment. Looks like he got a fresh set of tyres when he had that car repaired. As we see, Holtzy, a big slide. Oh, managed to keep that on the track. Cookie's also had to make a second pit stop, make some repairs on that car. Dropped him back 3 laps down now. Back to 27th position. Alan Caldwell just making the move underneath. Alan's got some fresher rubber on that car, makes that move easily. Zach Best struggling a little bit with his car at the moment. We just see him take a little bit of grass into 21st, so heavily disadvantaged by that little bit of contact earlier on through the chicanes that put him into the wall, and having to have that engine changed mid-race.
Yeah, good to see him back out on track.
Well, with the quick laps around here like 136s, to not go a lap down, he's done very well. Our race leader Harley, 12 seconds out of the gap now out in front.
Yeah, it seems like those tyres aren't coming into effect. Still pushing that gap unless the boys are behind having a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, we might have to put that car over scrutineering at the end of the race for griphacks.exe.
Yeah, he's got incredible pace. Even Alex up in the fourth now.
Yeah, he's got clear air either side of him too, so you got to focus and concentrate on the race. That driving right, turn out the right laps. Last time around a 138.8.
Looks like Rodney and Eugene are about to have a heated up battle here.
Eugene went deep under brakes there.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have a look down.
Going to try and push the point up the inside here though. Good run out of that corner. Not quite enough overlap there to make that pass though. Pete's just sitting there in behind him waiting for these two to make a mistake. Awesome battle from these guys.
Oh. Gets a little bit sideways there off the curb.
Get on board with Eugene at the moment. You can see Pete blocking up the rear vision mirror of Eugene, but he's probably not looking at that. He's always looking forward, Eugene. Back of Rodney looking for a bit of a pass. Knows how to get those curves right. Rodney right out sideways. Very lucky to hang on to that. Didn't affect his run speed out of that corner though, luckily. Turn into that tight hairpin. It's a tough corner to get around. Harder to put the power down out of the corner. That's an onboard lap there with Eugene. He wasn't able to make anything happen that time round. We're on lap number 13. Another 2 laps to make it happen.
Jacob Knight caught himself back up to 12th.
Action there with him and Mitchell Chapman. Also got Wade Michael mixing it up as well there.
All a little bit loose.
Some of the mid-pack racing here tonight. It's awesome. Great to see these couple of cars bunched up, racing for position. Great shot there from our curb cam as they race over the top.
I think Pete Davidson got past Eugene at the big hairpin.
Move put on there. Eugene actually locked the rears and actually went wide sideways, and Pete was unable to slip in underneath there.
Now Eugene's got Peter behind pressure him again. Peter Sattler, that is.
Yeah, another yellow car filling his rear view mirror. Eugene's just going to have to settle down after that little bit of a slide now. Take it easy. Keep that line covered, although Pete's sticking the nose up the inside. Got the overlap down the inside. That's another position back for Eugene. Great move by Pete Sadlier there in the Rockstar car. On lap number
Pete
4.
Davidson's had a good drive here.
Yeah, up to 7th position.
Up 10 spots.
He's got Rodney Phillips there in front of him. I don't think there's enough of the race left there for him to catch. Whoa, a bit sideways there as we're talking about Pete. The curse of the commentary. Got Pete Sadlier right on his toes. Caught right straight up. Side by side.
Pace.
Up on the bumpers.
Runs that defensive line.
Pete Davo's covering the air. Big time. Both of them sideways drifting out of that corner.
This is some great action.
Pete Davo's managed to get the run out of that corner, and sadly has had to step back a little bit. That sideways just couldn't get that traction down to the drive. Both drivers were trying to pedal it out of that corner big time.
As we see Harley on his last lap.
Action, these two though, they've done quite well. But, final lap for Harley. Put in a great effort.
That's been a great drive by Harley. Brought a nice 15-second gap back to Jamie in second.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's he's done really well. Through this last chicane here for the thing, round to the Wall of Champions, down the straight.
We have a change of position on for third.
It's
Yeah, I think we do. I think Alex has snuck onto the podium.
not according to me, but it's possible. See,
I can't see Jackson on track at all.
no.
Yeah, Alex might have just snuck onto the podium for the last spot there. Great consistency from him.
So our race winner for part one of this race was User Carnage get taken out there. Big roll there. Harley takes out the #1 spot. Great for him. At the top 10. Harley in #1 with the great race from start to finish. Jamie McKnight there in #2. Alex has pushed his way into #3 position for a podium finish. Alex Warburton in third. Rob Carmichael there in 4th. Pete Sadley has moved up to 5th, getting past Pete Davison there in that final lap. Gary Hamilton in #7. Rodney Phillips in 8th. Eugene moved up one position from start into 9th, and Jacob Knight in number 10. Well, that's an interesting race, and it's going to make it even more interesting for part 2. We'll be rolling into that shortly, but going to make it hard around here with these tyres. You could see it was starting to affect some of the cars there, even at around about lap 12, lap 13, so they're going to have to make a pit stop. But the decision is, will they just take fuel, or will they take tyres and look for that advantage, even though it's a disadvantage with time-wise in the stop. Going to be very interesting, Tyson.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the second race after that one. Like, yeah, Hartley got out to a great start, built that gap. When strategy comes in play, anything can happen. We all saw the carnage off the start there, so should bring some great racing with a bit of strategy too.
That it will be. We're going to have to make the change over to another server very shortly, but as we promised earlier on, Vincent's going to take us for a lap around his V8 supercar here tonight, and we'll get a bit of an on-board point of view. We'll be able to get that out. And then we'll roll into a bit of a promo video. Fantastic Wheelybins actions in the V8 supercars, and possibly some GRC action depending on the length of the ad break, and we'll be back with the server number 2 for race number 2 tonight here. The circuit Giles Villeneuve. It's going to be a big one, so make sure you stick around and tune in. Here's the hot lap with Vincent.
watching. You lost a memory full of cheap regrets. I got it all figured out. I think I'm gonna let it out tonight. Singing whoa, oh, 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 oh. Singing whoa, oh, oh. Step back, the opposition tries to pull you down. Hit back, you gotta proceed to let your heart be found. I got it all figured out. I think I'm gonna let it out tonight. Singing whoa, oh, oh, oh. Singing whoa, oh, oh. And it's you I need. Will you run to me? Complete this hole in me that you may cry.
Welcome back, Wheelybins TV and the Retro 2018 Sprint Series here on the Wheelybins Mayhem Republic. It's been a huge night so far. Awesome racing in that first race. 15 laps of absolute action plus. Great result there for Harley, taking out the #1 spot, which puts him at #1 on the grid tonight. So well done to him. Jamie McKnight there getting #2, and Alex Warburton squeezing #3 podium. So unbelievable race, Tyson.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker second one. That's for sure. I'm looking forward to the start. Hopefully this time we can get all cars off the grid.
Yeah, that'd be a good start, wasn't it? It was a bit of a disappointing start there, that last race. Someone must have just missed the start, and of course it was the concertina effect and there was cars everywhere, so unfortunate for that. We've got a 10-minute warm-up here. We're already 5 minutes into it, so 5 minutes to go. We'll begin part 2 of race 1 here tonight on Wheelybins TV. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast. I do apologise if it is a little bit glitchy. I discovered I had issues last week. Managed to try and find them, but obviously that wasn't the issue I'm having, and I think I might have just found another bug, so my apologies for that, and I thank you for your patience. But working with a 7-year-old computer that's had more surgeries than a 90-year-old person, it's sometimes a little, you know, it's a matter of chasing the bugs, but we'll get there and we'll find it, and I thank you for sticking with us. And I thank Tyson for joining me here in the comms box tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you here, Tyson. Hope you've enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, mate, it's definitely a great experience to jump in the other side of the chair and, you know, kick back and relax and watch some great racing instead of being out there getting the argy-bargy. It's good to relax and watch some good action. I'm
still not too sure what's more stressful, driving the race car or talking about watching race cars.
I'd probably say the watching, to be honest. Like if you're in the car, you're definitely in your own world and turning left and right. You know, here you got to watch so many different things, but it's a great
good experience anyway. It's good to see the other side of the panel. No, it's great to have you here, and g'day to Matt Norris if he's out there watching tonight. He's lucky enough, I think he took off over to Perth to watch some V8 supercar action, so if you're watching tonight, Matt, hey, cheerio out to you. And a cheerio also out to Matty Torkins, probably watching tonight. He watched most of the broadcast, so hello to Matt if you're watching tonight. Hope you're enjoying the race.
Matty.
There's a big event coming up for Matt soon, actually, on the 15th of this month, hosted by the iRacing community. If you want to find more information about that, it's either on the forums or check out the iRacing Down Under Facebook page. You'll find some information on that and get involved. Big race for Matty Torkins to raise some money for him, who's having some health difficulties at the moment, but I'm sure it'll be nothing for him to overcome. I seen a picture today. He still looks angry and fighting fit from what I could see, so that's good to see. Look at the times out on track. There's a few guys still out there chucking some times around here in warm-ups. Like this track, it looks like there'll be cloud covers coming for this part of the race, and the guys are going to have to make some setup changes here. I think a bit of a cooler track.
Yeah, definitely a setup change needed for this kind of weather. Should bring a lot of grip though, so hopefully even more closer racing.
Of course, what these guys are up for in our series prizes for this series, it's a 6-race series here for the Retros, and $150 up for first place if you can get maximum points over the 6 races. Second place is $80, third place is $40, and we've got some stubby coolers up for grabs, a couple of wheelie bin stubby coolers, some Ryno Hire stubby coolers, and of course Harley's in the running tonight for our West End Mazda Pole Sitters Award. So providing he finishes this part of the race, he will score himself $10 in iRacing dollars. Pretty cool. Big thanks to West End Mazda for that. So it's all up to Harley this race to make sure he finishes.
Yeah, it's going to be a good, easy, hard job there at the start there. You can get off the line and make that gap 15 seconds again. You're going to have that one in the bag, but throw a curveball in there with, you know, a bit of strategy and pit stops. Should bring some good racing. Yeah,
that's going to be a tough one. I'm not even sure which way I'd go. Would I take the hit to my times and take the tyres and get a little bit of a quicker car after the stop, or would I just take the fuel? I think it could be an advantage if you sort of break that into a 50-50 of your race and say around lap 10 probably duck in, take the hit, get the extra fuel you need to make the extra 3 laps of the race, and also take a set of tyres. I think it's going to be a big advantage towards the back end of the race, towards those that don't decide to take any tyres or decide to pit later on in the stint.
Yeah, I definitely think going to around lap 10 half race distance, like if you made it the first time, you should be able to make it the second time. But if you're up the front and want to get the jump in later stages of the race, maybe go to lap 14 or maybe even 13 and try and get fresh tyres on the others and, yeah, get the pass done.
It all comes down to strategy, and these guys, you know, there's no team managers on team race controls or anything in behind the pit lane. These guys are making the calls from the heat of the seat in the race car as to what their strategy is going to be, and they've got to work out a fuel calculation as well. There's a set amount of fuel put into the cars at the start of the race, and obviously we've set that so that it runs out at about lap 17, and it's a 20-lap race, so a little bit of a calculation there. Probably have to go in for around about anywhere between 10 to 15 litres as a top up to make it towards the end of the race, and then you see what the car's handling like as to whether you take that extra probably 7 seconds for a set of tyres.
Yeah, there's a checkered flag waves now at the end of the warm-up, and should see cars gridding up quite quick.
See the cars start to hit the grid right now. All quiet out there on the grid at the moment.
Yeah, we got about 5 seconds till the green flag flies and the revs will rise, so it's going to be a good race.
Hoping for a cleaner race than our first start. Keep a bit of an eye at the action down the back of the pack. Flames are flying, ready to go. Green flag is out and away they go in a cloud of smoke. Plenty of tyre spin there. All of the cars seem to have got away nice and cleanly for this part of the race.
Yeah, definitely a much better start.
There's a refresh in the session has shown that a couple of drivers out there have rolled out different cars for this race. We've got Purple Cobra Racing out there in front now.
Yeah, Purple Cobra's in 1 and 3, now 4.
Looking like most drivers made it through the first couple of corners. Nothing to report on hugely. Eugene's gone a long way back, 21st. Not a great start for him. Back up the front though, and Harley's making a bit of a getaway from trying to. Jamie wants to try and stay on the bumper here on him in this race, that's for sure. Not let him step away. Hopefully that purple car's not as fast as the previous Norton Hornet.
Yes, Jamie's definitely kept an eye on him. Staying right on the tail, trying to get the toe.
Pete Sadley has been a mover up into number 3 with Alex dropping back to 4th. Pete Davison's... Oh, the moves on here between him and Rodney Phillips, I think it is, has moved into a Norton car as well. Whoa, Pete has just had a big spin. He's got taken there by... I'm not too sure who that was. It was a purple car.
Yeah, I think that was Zach.
Yeah, they're the ones running down the back of the down the pack at the moment. Zach's gone back to pit lane. And get a bit of a replay of that. We come through the corners now. Zach come from a long way back, dived down the inside, braked very late. Door slammed straight into the side of Pete. That wasn't a well calculated move at all, and Pete's unfortunately got stuck in the wall there as well and had to go back to pit lane for a repair. I don't think he's been able to get that car out of the wall. Oh, he's backed it out. It turned around. It's
into the wall of champions.
A big loss for Pete because he was doing quite well there. Got blindsided there by Zach coming down the inside, who did brake late into that corner.
Yeah, it's a risky place to put your car, especially down the inside there.
It is, but as we see, Jamie's not letting Harley get away with it this race. Less than half a second between these two.
It'd be good too, like jumping from that race, doing 15 consecutive laps with the race fuel and coming into this, you set into a nice rhythm, so this second race would be a lot easier to have a good battle.
Yeah, for sure, and I think everyone's sort of got a little bit more used to the track because it's not a track we usually run, so after 15 laps around here you sort of know when to turn left, when to turn right. Bit of a tick of the wall there for Pete Sadlier on the exit of that corner. No damage. Alex there in fourth. Rodney Phillips making the chase behind him. Gary Hamilton, who had a brilliant qualifying but didn't make the result there in the second race. I think he dropped back there from an incident off the start. Moved up into sixth position now. Jacob Knight there in seventh. Also changing liveries, running a Bing Lee car now. These guys playing tricks with us. I tell you what, they think they're going to get away with it. We'll remember who they are. A little bit like Jamie McKnight, who changes from Holdens to Fords sometimes in sessions. Always makes things interesting.
Yeah, Jamie's still out front trying to catch up to Harley there. Keeping that gap nice and small, so...
The gaggle of cars here with Christopher, Vincent and Jacob. And also Alan and Jason Lee, all four. There's a whole heap of them all in a line. Bit of a train happening. And Christopher's the one up the front there at the moment in the PRA car. Vincent's tucked in behind. Jackson's looking for a way past Vincent. Alan just waiting to hopefully follow Jackson through. Shane the Chief Evans also back into 14th.
Yep, he's charging through the field.
But he's in trouble. He's certainly in trouble because he's got the known McHale on his tail at the moment. McHale's had a good start this race. And he's intimidating the rear end of the Chief's car.
Yeah, in that first race, McHale got a bit unlucky, got tangled up in those first lap incidents, and it's good to see him soldiering on now, just pressuring the Chief, and see if the Chief can hold him off.
Oh, the Chief's run straight through. Pit lane, going for the early strategy. Interesting.
So, our first, I think he would be the first one in the pit.
He is the first one into pit.
It's a big gamble.
But it could pay off. And he can fill the car to maximum allowance here and know that he's got 4 laps up his sleeve basically because we're 4 laps down. So, and the Chief is always known to do the undercut, always pitting early. So it could work out.
He's putting himself in a great position, gets some clean air and put some good laps down while everyone else is having a battle and losing time. So it could work out for him.
Yeah, the only disadvantage is going to be on around about lap 18 when his tyres are gone and everybody else has got slightly fresher tyres. But
it's a good gamble to play, I think.
Gary Hamilton being hassled by Rodney Phillips now on the bumper. Down the inside goes Rodney, going to make this pass. No, Greg's going to have the inside line for this turn. If we get a bit of a crisscross happening. Oh, Rod, real loose off the rear. Keep that power down. Such torquey cars, there's definitely no problems with lighting up the rears coming out of these corners.
Especially for that big corner, like you got to get down the first turn.
Slip right back in the pack to Eugene, who hasn't had the best of starts to this race. Fair bit of damage to the right-hand front of that car and back in 18th position. Having a really good race that first time round and a little bit unfortunate. The master of these cars, so definitely quick. one to watch. Pete Davidson's back out on track after repairs, I think, to that car. No, he hasn't been in the pits yet. He's still managing to muscle it around with that damage in 20th position.
Up in the 4th place here, Alex is under 5 from Gary and Rodney.
Gary's got to try and get past here and hopefully leave Rodney behind as well to get a little bit of a gap. Alex has really put the pedal down there. Big sideways move out of that turn.
Yeah, Alex under a bit of pressure here. Let's see if he can hold off.
Down the inside, Gary's trying to push it.
Go defensive.
Managed to make that move happen.
A little bit loose into the corner, loses the rear. Alex has got the line.
Right out sideways. Oh, we've got to use that saying once again.
Now we've got a drag race down the back straight.
Rodney's sitting there behind. He doesn't know which car to follow, which one's going to prevail to get past here. Make a move.
Yeah, which one's a good draft? Sits in the middle of both. He's going to look down the inside, make a 3-wide? No, he thinks better.
He was really hard on the brakes there, and the back of that car was talking stories. Great racing from these three guys, but right behind him, Jacob Knight's made a bit of a gain here. He's going to get right back up on the bumper of Rodney Phillips, and it's going to be a 4-way battle. Look at the amount of ground that Rodney can make come through his turns.
Got Harley.
Whoa, Harley's right out sideways.
Wow.
Here we go. The battle is on between these two.
Harley's looking down the inside, out brakes Jamie. Is he going to get... Wow, gets past.
That was a good move. Step left just out onto the racing line as well. Jamie's not going to let him get away with that, surely. Going to have that position back. Got the taste of the number 1.
Ooh, a bit loose there off the Harley. Jamie got a good run.
And we all, you see Harley's driving style though. He certainly knows how to keep the car on the straight and the narrow, even if the back end's not following the front. Seems to be able to still put down a decent lap time, so... Great to see awesome racing of these two. Hard on the curbs, 2 wheels to come through there. Down the start-finish line to start lap number 7.
Alex has been passed by Gary.
And Rodney wasn't able to capitalise on that and get past as well. Some good moves there. Real defensive from Alex there. He wasn't letting Rodney have a look at that inside line at all.
A little bit of a lock up and he gets the inside line.
Run a bit wide. Jacob's right up there looking for a spot to come through as well. These guys really turning it on here tonight. Some awesome racing, bumper to bumper, nice and clean. Gary's just
get out of the way.
Gary's put the pedal down though. He's slipped away. He put a second between them already. He's out of there. Oh, Rodney just can't find a way past. He's looking left, looking right, everywhere.
Whoa, Alex
Whoa.
right sideways, nearly in the wall.
That was unlucky. That's allowed Rodney to go past, and Jacob's going to take advantage of that too as they come down onto this left-hander. Slips underneath Alex as well. Oh, that was very ambitious. He had that car all kinds of crossed up. You can certainly see these two guys have really burnt their tyres out. They're looking at lap 7 and they're all over the shop. Looking back to some of the other guys back in the pack. Jason Lee in 12th position out there on his own at the moment. Eugene Burton down into 15th. Pete Davidson's back up into 16th, still with that damage to the front of the car, hanging out for that, obviously a mid-track or a late pit stop to get that car repaired. Dak Best has managed to make it back out on the track after repairs after that incident. That would have been heavy damage when he come through that corner and T-boned straight into the side of Pete there. It was Big lock up, braking late, and once they're locked up, there's no way of controlling these cars.
Yeah, especially in a corner like that, there's no runoff area, nowhere to go.
A little bit of a fight up the front there with Harley and Jamie. I'm wondering who's going to take the dive into pit lane first and go for some fuel and possibly some tyres. Because it could make all the difference towards the end of this race if one of these guys don't take that set of tyres. Their last lap still doing 136.9s around here for Harley. Best lap this race of 135.8. Gary Hamilton stretched that gap out now to 6 seconds back to Alex. Whoa, big lock up and sideways.
A little bit of that commentator's curse again.
It was. Rob Carmichael's also mixing it up here. He's moved up past Alex. Jacob Knight's sitting there behind Alex as well. I'm not too sure where Rodney's gone. Rodney Phelps has moved into pit lane and exited the race by the looks.
Yeah.
Tight battle here. Rob, Alex and Jacob. Nine laps down on the 10th lap. Back up the front, we're seeing that gap start to widen now. 2.5 seconds between Harley and Jamie. Pete 6 seconds back from Jamie in 3rd position. Gary Hamilton another 4 seconds back in 4th. Rob Carmichael's trying to get a break away from Alex and Jacob there in 5th position. Jason Lee's moved up into 9th and Mitchell Chapman has slipped up into the top 10. Chapo's got a bit of damage to the front left of that Falcon. He's got Craig on his tail there, fighting for 10th, top 10. A lot of damage to that Red Bull Retro car. Unfortunate Tyson. I don't know if he's going to bring that car back in the same shape it started with.
Yeah, like, bit of a shame, bit of the left door there. Bit of rub maybe against the wall and a little bit sad, seeing a bit damaged.
Looking at the guys that have pitted so far, McHale's been in for a pit stop, only a 6.2 second stop, so I'm guessing he just took fuel. Jackson exactly the same boat. Christopher Kessie was in for 16 seconds, 18 seconds for Vincent, 35 seconds stopped for Shane the Chief Evans, so that was a long stop for the Chief. Brendan McCarthy only
taking fuel and tyres.
Yeah, he was in pit lane for over a minute, so something else happened there in his pit stop. Normal pass through there is around about 45 seconds, so it's pushed him back to 20th position after not such a great race the first part. Second part's not shaping up much better.
Yeah, he might have had a black flag or something. Bring him in the pit early.
Two-second gap now for your race leader, Harley Haber.
Alex Warburton's had a bit of a spin at the Wall of Champions. Got a rub from a car behind the lap before. Set him back a few places.
He's got Allen chasing behind now.
It's actually pretty heavy contact.
Yeah, he's got a fair bit of a wolf into the back left-hand corner of that car. All sorts of pushed out in the boot lid. Pete Sadler has been the first of the leaders into the pit lane. He's had his pit stop. Harley's also now in pit lane doing a pit stop. Lap number 10 halfway through. Splitting the difference. And Pete was there in 3rd before he went to the pit stop, so we'll see what the gain is pitting early. Harley's still sitting in pit lane at the moment. It's about to pit into his pit
Jamie's
box.
going to stay. I think at this stage of the race, if I was in Jamie's shoes, I'd stay out as long as I can, try and get some rhythm, and as soon as my lap started falling off, I'd be straight into pit lane.
Yeah, you're right there, but he's going to be watching Harley come out with fresh tyres and fresh fuel. It's going to be tough to make that call. Pete actually was only stopped for 7 seconds, so I don't think he's put tyres on that car. Harley was stopped for 18 seconds, so that's definitely a fuel and tyre stop for him. Alex Warburton into pit lane also at the moment. Let's see what he takes for tyres and fuel. He's definitely taking a set of tyres also. So 50-50 split as to whether they're doing tyres, some of these guys. There's the risk it's going to pay off in the end. We're talking almost a 10-second difference on track, so...
Yeah, a bit of strategy.
It is a bit of strategy. If you've got the setup that can look after the tyres, then the advantage of saving that 10 seconds in pits, a big lot of positions out on track, so...
Looks like Jamie's staying out for another lap.
If he's comfortable in the car, he's just done a 1:37.8, so the times have slipped away a little bit for him. Last time round, Gary Hamilton did a 37.3, a 38.7 for the last time round. So the times are starting to slip away from these guys at the front. So pit stops probably are going to be on the cards. Jacob Knight now also hitting pit lane. There's a 10-second gap between Jamie and Gary at the moment. If Jamie decides to take tyres and Gary doesn't, he could very well make that 10-second gap up on track.
Oh yeah. Especially in this car, like fresh tyres would definitely be the best option. Because this is it's a beast to drive, and it's especially when you're in low gears. It's got to ease onto the throttle nice and slow and get off the corner. And you got fresh tyres, it's a lot easier. You got hard like dead tyres. Yeah, it's going to be close to hitting a wall.
Talking about gaps though, Harley's closing it. His total stop time was 47 seconds through the pit lane. He's only 33 seconds behind Jamie McKnight, so Jamie's going to have to make for a real quick pit stop here.
Yep, and he stays out another lap.
I guess he's going to be working on, he's going to have to put less fuel in, so stop for a least amount of time, but how was these lap times starting to hurt him with a 38.2 last time round? See what Harley gets out for his first time round after a pit stop. Down to 32 seconds behind him now. You see here Harley's first lap out after pit stop at 36.1, so big difference in lap times there between the guys that haven't pitted.
Yeah, he'd be head down trying to get that gap as close as much, because the undercut here is very powerful. But if you stay out, because the pit lane, you miss turn 1 and 2 pretty much, and you come out just on the left. So staying out longer, if you get the tyres there, could work out.
All about strategy and all about stopping. Jamie's going to have to stop if he does the tyres, but he's going to have to stop for a smaller amount of fuel, so hopefully that'll shorten the stop. He's also going to have a couple of laps fresher on the tyres towards the end of the race to push harder.
The two teammates, Shane Evans and Pete Davidson, line astern.
To see these guys out there, great looking cars. Retro throwback.
Harley and Pete going at it. Harley's going defensive.
Yeah, Pete's got the fresher car. He came in just after Harley did. Whoa!
Oh, outbraked himself.
Certainly did. He was lucky to hang on to that.
For a moment there, I thought he was going into the pit.
He certainly had some pace on. He really broke really late.
That puts Harley back up to third.
And he's just done a 1:36 flat too, so...
Ooh.
He's got some pace on.
He's hooning along.
Gary and Jamie are definitely stretching out this stint. 7 seconds now, the difference between Jamie and Gary.
Yeah, it looks like Jamie's struggling a bit on those tyres.
Yeah, watching a few turns there, it's very loose. Well, lap number 14, this is about what they would have been feeling towards the end of last race.
I think Jamie might box this lap.
I think if he leaves it any longer, he's going to lose that advantage of having fresh tyres, and he's not going to have time to make the run on Harley. Because now we're only talking 27 seconds the difference. Jamie's going to stay out for another one.
They're going to stay out. But that window's getting smaller, and Harley's still pushing on and having some great time out there.
Gonna make for an interesting last couple of laps, that's for sure. Mitchell Chapman doing well, moved up into 6th position. Still yet to pit though also. Jason Lee, another one yet to pit. Craig hasn't pitted and Eugene hasn't pitted also. So still a few there playing that strategy. I think these guys are just having such a good battle, they've forgotten that there's a pit stop going to be required. Door to door, the two Jim Beam cars.
Rob just hanging on there.
Yeah, well, he's actually got the fresher car out of the lot. He just pitted 4 laps ago, so...
Anyone from this group going to blink, or they're going to... Nope, they're going to continue.
No one's really keen on breaking the cycle. We see
Alex, fresh rubber too, sneaking up on the group.
Vincent's had to pit lane his car. He's sitting there for 2 minutes now, must have some serious issues. Back to our race leader. 29 seconds now, so he's extended the gap between him and Harley. Harley actually may have had a slowdown that last time round, I think, because there's no lap time registered, so there was definitely an off track of some sort. It's probably where the difference in times come from. Pete Sadler, who was sitting behind him, also had exactly the same problem, so maybe it was a bit of a tussle up between those two.
Yeah, Pete Sadler looks like he's going a bit slow down the back straight away. No, he's getting back on the pace. Or is he still? He's still going slow.
I think he's got some heavy damage. He's pulling over to the right because I think you can see Jacob coming by and let him past. Heavy damage to that car. It'll be interesting to know the story behind that one. No doubt they'll talk about it over a beer at the end of the race.
Jacob Knight still soldiering it on, sitting in P4 at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's done his stop, so technically he's provisionally 2nd position at the moment. Sitting in behind Harley. Still 29 seconds the gap between Harley and Jamie, so that gap hasn't really changed. 20 seconds
Jamie
behind.
catching up to the back of Chief.
Yeah, wonder if this will be a deciding factor as to whether he takes a pit this time round. Catching up on some lap traffic. No, he's still out for another lap. He starts lap number 17. He'll be reaching the end of his fuel load. We only put 17, maybe 18 laps of fuel in these cars.
Yeah, I think he's going to definitely be in this lap.
I hate to see a repeat of yourself like in the GT3 series last week, hey Tyson? Just that little bit short on fuel.
Yeah, 1 corner to go and took the gamble, and yeah, she didn't pay off, but it was a great race anyway, and
wasn't it?
Definitely enjoyed the comeback.
No, the gamble was definitely worth it because you almost made it work, and hey, well, if you can't take this risk, then there's no reward. So You almost
Yeah,
had
that's
it.
exactly right. I think battling with Chief for those first couple of laps there after the safety car really hurt me. I wasn't concentrating on saving fuel, I was just going for the win, and then it was too late to save fuel in the end.
Big gaggle battle of cars back here in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. 6 cars here fighting for position. There's a couple there that are possibly out of sync. A couple of lap cars.
No, Jamie stays out for another lap.
He's definitely got to be running on reserve.
I wonder if he's been fuel saving this whole time.
There's only so much you can fuel save in these cars. I mean, a bit of short shifting and staying in the draft of other cars. I mean, he was sitting behind Harley there for the first 5 laps, so maybe he was able to save enough.
Looks like the Chief Shane Evans is out a little bit off in turn 1.
It's not his night, unfortunately. Back in 15th, Pete there in 14th position. Had that.
Oh no, Jamie's in the wall.
Oh, big damage done to that car. A replay of that. Underneath Vincent in front of him. Oh no, he had big contact there with, I'm not too sure, in that yellow, the Rockstar car. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's had such a great run. Puts Gary Hamilton in the lead of this race on lap number 18, but he's going to have to make a pit stop very shortly. Jason Lee's moved up to 4th position, still yet to pit. Trying to find out the what happened there. Pete Sadlier was the car that was in there with Jamie.
Yeah, it's hard to say what happened there.
I'll try and get another replay of the event.
Oh no, don't tell me. Yeah, I think the stewards are going to have to look at that one after the race, those most definitely.
Yeah, there's almost like Pete just didn't turn for the corner. That's terrible. Very disappointing there for Jamie. He's definitely had to take that pit stop now though. Lap number 19. Only a 20 lap race. Out in front at the moment is Gary Hamilton. He still hasn't made a pit stop, so I mean he's got to be getting close to running out of fuel. He's the race leader, but Harley's 20 seconds behind. He's done
it's going to be an interesting finish, that's for sure.
He's done some real awesome fuel saving, or something's going on there. Because Jason Lee's another one in 4th position at the moment, still yet to pit. We've got this, finish this lap and another lap. As we see Gary, no, not into the pit stop again, so.
Interesting.
These guys have really got their fuel numbers worked out. The rest of us were assuming that there'd have to be a stop, but
Fuel saving.
fuel saving big time. Done very well. If he's able to win this race from here with a no-stop strategy, then that's congratulations to him.
Yeah, he's done his numbers and his homework, right? That's for sure. So that's probably what Jamie was doing as well. He did his homework, did some numbers, did some testing, and thought he could go home without the pit stop. Let's see if he can make this last lap.
Sitting in second position's Harley. He done that pit stop earlier on. He's got the gain. He puts them down good lap times, definitely to chase these guys down. Taking out the first part of the race and scoring pole. Dropped back, fought his way back well with some new tyres and some fresh fuel.
It's good to see Jacob Knight back up into P3 now after that earlier incident, starting from P10.
Yeah, good job by Jacob. You see Rob Carmichael's made the pass on Jason Lee, so I wonder if Jason Lee's on heavy fuel save now. Running the same strategy. He's got Jackson sitting at number 6, catching him rather quickly. We're on the final lap here around the track. Finishing lap number 20. Well, that was an unbelievable race. It appears that Gary's won it without a pit stop.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Want some drift now? What a race that was.
That was absolutely brilliant. There you have it, folks. Our race winner, Gary Hamilton, taking it out. Magnificent fuel saving strategy, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Big congratulations to him, because to come out of the box like that, 2 cars that were going to not pit and do that little sneaky fuel save, it seemed to pay it off.
Certainly has.
Oh.
We'll see if we can step over to the box. Some of the guys finishing up still, so we'll let them have their race. G'day guys, it's got Daniel and Tyson in the commentary box. Unbelievable racing tonight. A few upsets there, and but Gary, you've managed to make it through to number 1 position with no pit stops. Awesome fuel saving strategy there, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I did the numbers quickly at the start, and I thought, yeah, that's doable. We'll see how it goes. And
yeah, well done, mate. Good one, Gary.
On the start there, and I thought, oh well, but that actually helped because I saved a whole bunch of fuel instead of getting excited.
Ah, it's unbelievable. Great effort, and well done to you for taking out the first race of the Retro Sprint Series. Well done. Harley Haber, number 2 tonight. Hey, you fought your way well in the first race, got yourself a pole position, and second place on the podium for tonight's race. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, mate. Race 1 was pretty good, I guess. Just kind of walked away with it. I think I was a bit fortunate there at the start to not get caught up.
Well done, guys. Congratulations, Gary.
I don't know, I think
yeah, good race, guys.
Got a couple of slowdowns, put too much fuel in at the stop, and ultimately it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. I mean, Gary did a good job to fuel save to the end and get the win.
No, congratulations, and also congratulations, you are tonight's West End Mazda Pole Sitter Award winner. Pole sitter in qualifying and finished the race, so $10 worth of iRacing credits coming your way, mate.
Yeah, I finished 10th and I didn't take fuel either.
Yeah, Harley, just Tyson here, mate, in the comm box. Congratulations on that pole, mate. Well done, great drive, bro.
And in number 3, Jacob Knight, 3rd position tonight for this race. Well done.
Yeah, mate, thanks, Dan. Considering how far back we started, I wasn't expecting it. Disappointed about the first race there. The engine wasn't on the grid, which was pretty amazing. But come home in 3rd in race 2. I'm pretty happy with the result.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a great night's racing, and I hope you all enjoyed the format, because it's certainly put on a great show for the broadcast and some tight, nitty-gritty racing. So thank you for that. Absolutely awesome night of racing, Tyson.
Yeah, mate, it was awesome. Definitely enjoyed that.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great race. And that little split format, breaking the race for the re-grid, bunched them all back up again, like 2 races, but the points are calculated on who wins the second race, and Gary Hamilton managed to take that out, so fantastic for him.
Definitely. Strategy was key, and we knew it would definitely come down to strategy, and he pulled off one of the best strategies, and fuel save maximum, and winner chicken dinner.
Certainly was. It I was actually quite blown away there that he was able to make it to the end of the race, so well done to him. Plenty of more racing though coming your way. We got next Saturday, we've got the next event is Monza GP. That's going to be a big race as well. That's a great track, especially with these cars, and unfortunately there won't be a broadcast live of that, but we will get a highlights reel up for the YouTube, so you guys won't miss out on any of the action for that race. It's going to be a big one.
Definitely looking forward to it. I might jump in the car next week and have a run myself and see how it feels to be out there with a bit of strategy and hopefully get the win.
Yeah, that's right. Big thank you to our sponsors who have supported us for this event and have put up some prize money and make it all worthwhile. Thank you to Ryno Hire, Park Lane Jewellry with Kirrilee, Limelight Motorsport and End Mazda. Without their help, this stuff wouldn't be possible, so big thank you to you guys, and we welcome to have you on board. This has been race number 1 for the Retro Sprint Series. It's been an absolutely awesome night. Thank you for joining me in the commentary box tonight, Tyson.
It's been my pleasure, mate. That was enjoyable.
No problems. We'll catch you all again next time. Thank you very much and good night.